They said just go like this until they're spaced out good. Dang! Bing, 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 bing. I mean, it's not perfect, but you know, commercial guys are in a hurry. That ain't bad. Is it better to use 10 frames or 9 frames? That's right. Some beekeepers only use 9 frames in their honey super. The idea, the thought process is that you'll get more honey from 9 frames than you would 10 frames, because 9 frames, they pull the wax out wider, and then when you harvest it, you have more honey. So we're going to use our first example here, a 9 frame. Hello, my friend, David Burns. Good to be with you today. Well, as you can see, I'm kind of running behind here, getting supers on. Bees are bringing in a lot of clover honey, and it's July the 3rd, and I always feel like you need to have all your supers on here in Illinois by July 3rd if you're going to get some honey. So I'm running behind a little bit. Today I'm going to pop in there and we're going to just put 3 supers on some hives here. Let's get started. So as you can see in this one, there's only 9 frames. And so what we have to do is space those out evenly. Let me drop over to the shade to do that. It's hot. So when you have 9 frames in a 10 frame box, it means if you left it like that, you're going to have crazy comb in there and you won't be able to do anything with it. So what we have to do is evenly space out the frames to get the bees to draw them out a little wider. But when I was working with commercial beekeepers, they taught me to take a 10 frame box with 9 frames in it, and they taught me to shake it. And if you shake it, most of the frames kind of get spaced out evenly. So let's give that a try and we'll see. They said just go like this until they're spaced out good. Dang! Bing, 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 bing. I mean, it's not perfect, but you know, commercial guys are in a hurry. That ain't bad. So what we just need to do is fix it a little bit, kind of straighten them up a hair, right? But that was pretty good. Dang. I do use that trick sometimes. On a brand new super, it works really good. But this has a lot of sticky propolis everywhere. Yeah, so I just like to kind of even it out a little bit like this and kind of get the spacing correct. It's not going to mess up bee space that much because the bees are just wanting to work those drawn out comb. They're already drawn out nicely. I guess I should have showed you one. Let's do that. I'll show you this one. See, that's been harvested, drawn out, nothing in it. Same over here, black foundation. Yeah, so that's what all of them look like. And another way that you can evenly space out your frames is with this device. And you use it, it works really good on, you know, brand new super. You take out 1 frame, and this is a 10 frame divider made for 9 frames. So it's a 10 frame, made for a 10 frame box, but it's so that you can evenly space out your 9 frames, okay? And that, I did pretty good. I'm not gonna change it, but, and that little blue tag there, we used this at EAS on the Master Beekeeper Field Exam one year. We had a bunch of items people had to identify, but yeah, you can just use that to evenly space out 9 frames in a 10 frame box. But I want to talk about another thing that I don't like that much, and I did use it this year somewhere. But over here, there's a metal rest that has 9 slots in it. And the reason I don't like it, it collects a lot of propolis, and small hive beetles can get in there really bad. So as you can see here, this metal frame rest is made spaced out evenly for 9 frames. Now when I cleaned it this year by using a torch to burn away the propolis. This one probably won't be bad for a small hive beetle because it's so propolized. But you can see this is a metal frame rest that you can put in there for 9 frames in a super. Okay, so we're ready to put that on the hive. We're going to see if this 9 frame honey super will bring us more honey than a 10 frame super. All right, let's open this up. Plastic top cover, that's what I really enjoy about plastic. They stay the same. You don't have to worry about hurting them, breaking them apart. Lift that top off slowly. Let the bees get used to the light and the air. And then I like to rotate it over, check for small hive beetle. Oh yeah, look at this hive. This is interesting. I put new foundation on here. New foundation on 625. Too early to put a super on. Yep, forgot that I did that. Let's close that up and move down the line. They got room to, it's a little too early. I like to get 5 to 7 frames drawn out in this box before I add the next box. So let's go down the horn a little bit. This hive's leaning. We're going to fix that. Let's see how they're doing in the top deep. It weighs so much more than it looks. Well, I'm going to pop in here real quick and while we're inspecting this hive and let you know that on July the 17th, I've got a live stream coming up and I'm excited. We're going to have $1,000 worth of giveaways because it's going to be my 1,000th video that we're going to make during the live stream on July 17th. I'll leave a link right here. And I'd love to see 1,000 viewers on the live stream at one time. So be sure and join me then. Okay, if you think a frame is coming up with you, I like to look and see. No, it's just tight. No small hive beetle. All right, these frames are packed. So let's go ahead and put our 9-frame super on this hive. Grab it over here. There we go. Wow, that's going to be sticky. It went down into some propolis. Yes, sir. Square it up, both corners. All right, I'm going to push it down a little bit with my top cover. Yeah, that's good. All right, we got 2 more to put on. Let me see which hive needs it the worst. Definitely that hive on the end. Let's give this hive here a super. And we're going to do a 10-frame super over here. It's a traditional 10-framer. A lot of bees in this hive. They're going to be ready and wanting a super. I like to smoke as I kind of open up that top a little bit. That'll help calm the bees down before you lift the lid off. Oh, in this hive, this is a different bottom board. This is the back, believe it or not. The bees are flying, approaching from the back, walking underneath, and walking all the way to the front. Isn't that weird? Yeah. I've never seen bees do that before. Oh yeah, very good. No small hive beetle. And I'm going to smoke them a little bit. You've heard me talk about wax on the top of the frame. I don't see any, but I can tell right here that's new wax. See how white that is? So they're charged up, ready for a super. Yep. I happen to have one right here on it's drawn out foundation from last year, but it has a bad corner in it. All right, so it has that corner right here that we're going to have to probably correct. I'm going to get a close-up of that, Patrick. Yeah, this super has a little bit of a breaking point right here. Now this corner too is not in the best of shape. We'll watch that if we need to. I'll use a little tape to get me through another season. But this just damage, when you have boxes forever like I have, and you're always going in like this and prying them, you can destroy these corners like that. All right, well, we're ready for a lid there. One more to do. Let's do one more. So I have a hive down here that's a little different. It's in a single deep, and boy, if I put a super on there, they're really going to go up here and turn this into another brood area. And it's fun to experiment to see, you know, what happens if I try to run a single deep. Can I get this single deep through the winter? So my option would be to put a queen excluder on underneath this super and keep them down. Let's get this one ready here. Let's go down and take a look. This is going to be, might be a tough hive to open up. There's a lot of bees in there. They are full. Yeah, I just like to experiment. A lot of people say, you know, what's it like running single deeps? Illinois, I've never done it because I really need 2 deeps to get through the winter. So might start experimenting with this one. So I'm going to be careful to gingerly open up this full box of bees. Bare-handed and bare-armed. All right. Yeah, they're packed. So what I'll do here is grab this super, and I'm going to actually put this on here without a queen excluder to begin with. And then that will allow me a chance to monitor my queen up in this box. I'll keep pushing her down. Let's just see if we can run it with a single deep. Maybe a single deep and make us a lot of honey. I notice I have a problem with this box. Let me show you. Where was it? It's on your side? Oh, here it is over here. Yeah, look at that. I'm a poor beekeeper. I can't afford good supers. Yeah, I'll get a little something to temporarily block that off because I don't want them to get in there and start robbing. The bees might be able to propolize that, but I'll keep an eye on that. Well, that was a fun time out in the bee yard, and I want to spend a moment here and have a little coffee time with you. And this is the time when we always talk about some life principles, and it's a time when I can encourage you and inspire you, empower you, not only in beekeeping, but maybe in life itself. So let me get a sip of water here. Yeah, all right. Well, I'm actually in front of what used to be, we used to have a honeybee store where we sold beekeeping equipment and beekeeping supplies. And then 2020, COVID and all that, you know, we weren't able to operate it. And at that point, we closed our store, and everything is all online. Although we've been online forever, we just made it transitioned out of having a store. So this is in a lot of my videos. If you look back many years ago, maybe as much as nearly 2 decades ago, you'll see me sitting here, a much younger man. You'll see me sitting out front of this store on, I had a picnic table. How many of you remember me sitting out front on my picnic table right out here? Leave a comment below. It was a very old picnic table. Sorry to say, it was so bad off, we finally got rid of it. We had to throw it on the burn pile. We couldn't figure out how to, the wood wasn't good enough to make anything out of it. No, it wasn't. It was just too rotted. You know how picnic tables always exposed to outdoors and all. But today I want to give you some really encouraging words. And it's a phrase that I heard growing up that my dad was unrelenting on saying it over and over to us children. I have an older brother that's about 3 years older than me. Yeah, and my sister is about 7 years older than me. I was the youngest. I was youngest, which meant, you know, I think back in the 60s and 70s, you know, they, it seemed like, at least my family, the youngest, the parents kind of got worn out of having children, you know. They made a big deal when the firstborn goes to school or gets their license or get married or has a 16th birthday. By the time the third one, you know, has all those things happening, it's like, yeah, boring, we've done all that. But no, I don't know if that's true, but it seemed like it for me. So I thought I'd share a phrase that my dad really kicked around a lot, and he was serious about it too. I got some notes on my phone here. And the phrase is, he would say to me all the time, David, nothing is impossible. That's what he would tell me over and over again. Nothing is impossible. Now, my dad was a devout Christian man, and, you know, he would say, with God, all things are possible, and nothing is impossible. And I thought I'd share that with you guys about the impact that that phrase has had on my life and how maybe it can help you. Okay. Obviously, there are things that are impossible. For example, when I was in my early 20s, I was inspired by a great cyclist, American cyclist named Greg LeMond, and I think he's a year younger than I am actually. But anyway, he inspired me because I was just beginning to get into racing on my cycle racing, bicycle racing, and he was doing the Tour de France, of course, and I may have my numbers wrong, but I believe he won it 3 times. And the last time he won it only by 8 seconds. And it's a lot of stages. I mean, 8 seconds is a close race. But I think he recently got the Congressional Medal of Honor or something like that. Outstanding cyclist. But anyway, he inspired me. I watched him and I thought, golly, he is doing outstanding as an American cyclist. And Tour de France, it's Europe. I mean, it's over there in high mountains and all. And anyway, I got inspired. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but I got inspired to one day make it to be in the Tour de France. I didn't know that I wasn't really good enough of a cyclist at that time. And I just wasn't willing to put the time on the bike to get there. It's a good way to say it. I tried, I got pretty good at cycling and racing, but not that level. And it wasn't me. It wasn't meant to be. So now let's say, as old as I am, it's impossible for me to win the Tour de France. I mean, it's impossible. I don't, when you get older like me, you just don't have the body and the lungs and the motivation to do that. You got to be young. Most sports, you got to be young to really do good. But I do remember really feeling like I'm going to keep training hard. I'm going to do this. But some things are impossible. All right. I just want to say that up front. But on the other hand, nothing is impossible. Now, some of you may know the author Dan Brown, and I picked up a quote from him. Let's see if I can remember it. It said, he said that all things are possible. The impossible just takes longer. I love that. And I think that's so true. Well, for me, I have had times in my life where I face impossible odds against me in many different areas of life. I can remember one time I was trying to achieve, I don't know how to say this. I can't go into the details of it, but I was trying to achieve a level of as an instructor. Let's just call it that. I was going to be an instructor, not in beekeeping, and to do that, I didn't meet the qualifications to be that instructor just yet. Instructor is not the right word, but I can't think of a better word. And so I needed certification in a few more areas first before I could even be considered. So anyway, I worked hard and I got certified in those other areas in order to apply to be this instructor. And everybody was like, no, you can't do that. You won't be able to do that. It's not given that way. And so anyway, I said, dadgummit, I'm gonna try, right? So I've got that spirit in me that says, if you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to do everything I can to prove you wrong. I'm really competitive in nature, unhealthily, is that a word? I'm competitive in an unhealthy way. Let's put it that way. Getting better, but I'm still a very competitive person. Anyway, I did achieve that. I applied for it and I got it. And it was funny because I did it for maybe a year and I didn't like it. It was much too dangerous. It was extremely dangerous. Let's just say I really thought I was going to lose my life doing this once I achieved it. So I gave it up. I was like, Phew, I will never do that again. It's funny how you get into something, you think it's going to be like, hey man, if I can do that, that'd be the top level. I'm going to be like, and then you get there and think, yikes, I don't like being up here anymore. I need to go somewhere else, you know. So sometimes, well, my dad had a funny phrase. My dad said there are two bad things that can happen to you in life. My dad had so many great phrases, but he said, one of them is not getting what you really want. That's a bad place to be. And the second place, he said, it's getting what you really want. That's another bad place to be. He was right. I got what I wanted, and then I didn't like what I had. So, you know, you got to always kind of weigh all these things out about how nothing is impossible. All things are possible. I'm wondering what kind of things you're going through, maybe, and you're wanting to achieve certain things that are maybe they were out of your reach right now, but you feel like you could do it if you put more effort into it. I do believe that with things that people do, I think some people are meant to do it. I really do. I believe that. I know people that are doing things that are just incredible, and it's beyond kind of what they're able to do, but they're doing it. And I believe, now I don't know what your beliefs are, philosophical or religious beliefs. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me, but I'm just saying I don't know how to word this. If you believe in God or if you believe in the universe, higher power, put your idea in there. But I believe, I'll call it universe for now, but I believe the universe has a plan, a purpose for you and all of us. And I think as we navigate through life, you know, we kind of go to college. We think, I went to college, I thought I was going to be that and this, and then it wasn't what I wanted to do. And, you know, you just get guided along by this current of something that kind of takes you to where you really are best fit to help the world, I think. That sounds crazy, but I don't know how else to say it. But I believe there are some people that are really impacting it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be famous. I mean, but they're impacting their corner of the world, their family, their children, their co-workers, their friends. They're making a huge impact in the world. And we need everyone to make a great impact and help each other. And you know, that's really something that I've said a lot, that we really need to be a positive force of energy, of love, of kindness to be spread in the world that we live in to help the world. And so I read another quote that said, this is St. Francis of Assisi. He said, start by doing what is necessary, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. And I think that fits me and you quite well. I mean, even in beekeeping, we all started beekeeping probably thinking, you know, I'm going to do the necessary things in beekeeping, right? It's necessary to dump a package or a nucleus into a bigger hive and let them grow. That's necessary. It's necessary to learn the basics to help them. And then before long, we find ourselves doing what at one time we thought was impossible. We find ourselves making queens. Wow, I never thought I could make queens. We find ourselves making a split. And we thought, I don't think I could ever make a split. Wow, here I am making a split. Or I started with one hive, now I've got 1,500 hives. I never thought I'd get that big. But start by doing the necessary, and then you'll find yourself doing the impossible. That's really good. That's encouraging. That's empowering, isn't it? Sometimes you feel like, I'm just going through the motions. I'm just doing the essentials. And before long, you realize your step-by-step essentials that you're doing got you to a place where you're doing the impossible. I think that's pretty cool. But within all of this impossibility, within all of the things that we struggle with achieving things that are beyond our reach, or we think anyway, no matter where you're at in life, your age, no matter, you know, how much money you have or don't have, whatever your station in life is, there are things that right now in your mind that you're probably thinking, those are impossible. Those are things I wish I could accomplish, but they're just out of my reach. They're impossible. But I think really the truth behind us reaching the impossible is putting in the time. I really do. I think we have to put in our time and we have to work hard at it. There are some people that have achieved the impossible without working hard at it. And that is a very elite group of people. That is a very small, tiny fraction of people. How they do it, I don't know. They just were able to do it without any hard work. You know, some people are that way. I think with beekeeping comes easy for me. I don't mean to say that arrogantly. I say it with great humility. And I don't mean to say it that would make you feel like, oh no, I thought he worked hard to be a beekeeper. I did. I made a lot of mistakes. I lost a lot of money in beekeeping in the beginning. And I made a fool of myself so many times in beekeeping. Don't get me wrong. But I kind of watch beekeepers. I kind of talk to beekeepers. And I can just tell there are many things about beekeeping that is just really, it comes to me. It's easy for me to understand. I can just flow that way without much resistance. Where other things are harder for me to grasp at times. They're harder for me to understand. I have to spend more time and energy doing it. So there's that. Now, let's get back to what I was saying. I think all of us have to work hard when we want to achieve the impossible. It's going to take us spending time doing it over and over and over again. I'm working on a project unrelated to beekeeping, and I'm trying to achieve something. In order for me to achieve it, I have to really work about an hour a day doing that same small thing over and over again to get really good at it. And I like it. It's fun, but it's slow going. But I'm going to do it one day. That's my goal. And I might share it with you if I ever achieve it. I shouldn't talk like that. That's the other thing. If you want to accomplish the impossible, you've got to talk like you're going to do it. Because a lot of times it is all in our mind that we can't do it. We convince ourselves we can't do it. You got to convince yourself you can do it. And you got to hang out with people that believe in you, encourage you, and they empower you like I'm doing now. I'm encouraging to keep doing it. Stay with it. Whatever it is in your life, be inspired by it. It can be something that is way out there and you're nervous about it, you're worried about it. Whatever it is, you'll get through it. You know, we all do. And you just got to believe that you can. But let me talk a minute about hard work. I think hard work is kind of getting a bad name nowadays. In 2025, in a lot of circles, hard work isn't really looked upon like it once was. You know, I was raised in the 60s, and I was taught by my dad, by my coaches at school, oh gosh, by the Boy Scout leader. I was taught by friends and family, aunts and uncles, mom and dad, that work hard, boy. I really was. I mean, I was doing things, and you know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying it, in fact, it was a little bit too much hard work, I think. But as a kid, you know, we had to do things that kids don't have to do today. My parents asked me to do things as a young child that young children don't have to do today. They're not asked to do it. And I would have to mow the yard at a young age, very young age. I was asked to chop wood at a very young age. I was taught how to change oil in a car at a much too young age. I was taught how to wire houses way too young. You know, I was taught how to shoot handguns and rifles and shotguns way too young, you know, in my opinion. You know, so, and I was taught that you had to work hard. My dad would always tell me, you got to work hard. You want to get somewhere in life, you got to work hard. If you don't work hard, he would say, you're gonna not get to where you want to be. No one gets to be where they want to be unless they want to work hard. Now, one of the first jobs I had, now I worked in the fields. I lived in Illinois when I was an early teenager, and I actually had to go out in the cornfields, and we would cut down weird looking or taller size corn for seed corn, you know, rogue corn and all that. So I would be walking cornfields in the summer. I did that when I went to college, but that was really tough work. I mean, it was hot, humid. We'd get out there and a thunderstorm would come. You'd be a mile into a cornfield. You have to cowboy up and just stay out there in the rain and lightning, and snakes are out there, and you're working in just extremely hot. At lunch, we had like 45-minute lunch break, and I would just lay down and take a nap. That's how exhausted I was. But there were times where I did that kind of hard work, but that was my first job. And then when I turned 16, I didn't know much about getting a job, but I walked into a company and I said, I need to speak about getting a job. And so they said, okay, upstairs, take a right or left, and you'll see the human resource office. Knock on the door, right? So I went in there and said, hi, I'm David Burns. I think I knew enough to dress up nice and everything. And I said, I'm looking for a summer job. I'm in school, I'm 16. And anyway, they hired me. And so my first job, I was a security guard / janitor / boiler operator. I did all those three things. And I was on the night shift to third shift when that big company was closed and nobody was there working. And it was my first day on the job. They gave me a company manual this big, you know, and I had to kind of memorize that. Anyway, I was supposed to make a round as a security guard every hour, and then I had places I had to clean, and then I had to keep this big coal furnace going. It fed itself, but I had to clean out clinkers, and I actually injured myself doing that. Had to have a hernia surgery at 18 years old playing with that furnace. Anyway, but I remember the first day I was at that job in that big company factory, and it made all kind of noises, you know, air compressors kicking on, scaring me to death. I was 16 years old. It was really shocking. But those were the first kind of introduction to working hard. But I decided this, folks, listen to this. I had to clean toilets and secretary's desk at night when everybody was shut down. I cleaned places, and I didn't regret that at all. I didn't feel bad that I was a janitor. I was happy to have a job, making money. And I cleaned the best I could clean. When I cleaned and I swept, you know, a lot of people don't know how to sweep. My dad taught me how to sweep. And you take a broom, and he would teach me, you know, how to really clean a floor with a broom. A lot of people don't know that. I'm telling you, they don't know. You know what I'm talking about? I knew how to mop. I knew how to mop like Navy guys mop. You know what I mean? That big mop that you have to squeeze out, the big old strands on the mop, clean out your water and all that. But I took the time because I wanted to impress my boss. I wanted to be the best darn janitor they'd ever had. And people complimented me on my work. And I was proud of that. I didn't take any shame in being a janitor. When I got into college later on, I needed a job, another job. I think I had a couple of 3 jobs. But at night, I would clean offices in Lincoln, Illinois. And so I went to banks. Lo and behold, I was in a bank at night. But I'd clean offices, and I did the best job I could. My boss told me, he said, now at the bank, everybody in that bank is going to be looking for fingerprints the next day. You cannot leave a fingerprint anywhere on anything. On the countertops, on desk chairs, these arms on everything has to be polished, you know. I gave it my best. I work hard. And in beekeeping and in making you guys videos like this, you can see that comes out, doesn't it? I really work hard making videos for you because I want you to be the best beekeeper you can be. And that means that even though you watch my videos, I expect you to do your part. You're going to have to learn what I'm teaching you, and you're going to have to go out there, cowboy up, and you're going to have to really work hard too to make it work for you, right? Now, all of us can't work at the same amount of level of hardness. We all can't go out there and, you know, we have restrictions on our, maybe our health, our time. I get that. I have no problem with that. If you don't have time to keep bees the way that you should, I am not the guy to get on to you about that. Some people will be mean and ugly about it. Well, if you don't have time to keep bees the way you shouldn't keep bees. You're making a mite bomb. Shame on you. Get out of our club. I'm not that guy. Come on. Come on. You want to keep bees and you just barely got a little bit of time? Hey, do the best you can with the time you got. All right? That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You got a little bit of money. You can't afford to buy bees. You got to make your own equipment. I get that. I spent the early part of my life I made my own hives. That's why I started a beekeeping company years ago making hives, because I didn't have the money to buy hives either. I get that. That's okay. That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. What I like so much that in my early days when I didn't have a nickel to rub against a nickel, what I like the most about that, I hope I never have to be that poor again. But if I do, I know how to do poor. Okay, I'm not gonna like it, I'll tell you that. But if I have to do poor again, I've done it before, I'll do it again, and I'll pull myself up out of that with my bootstraps again if I have to. Lord, I hope I don't have to. But if I do, I'm not scared of it. All right, I'll work hard. I'll polish what I have to polish. I'll be a janitor, whatever. I'm hoping I can keep making a living on bees. And fingers crossed on that one. I saw a meme. It was kind of funny. It showed a beekeeper holding up a frame of bees, and you can read it. And it says it. I should probably find it and read it to you. Let me do that real quick, because it was funny. A beekeeper sent this to me, and I really liked it because it kind of explained what we face in beekeeping, that, you know, we don't always realize what it's going to be like when we start. But it shows a picture of a person, an individual holding up a frame of bees, and it says she doesn't know yet, but these bees are going to swarm 3 times, fail to raise a new queen, kill the $50 queen she gives them, and allow workers to start laying drones unable to dwindle nearly to nothing before they accept the queen and not make any honey, and chug $200 worth of syrup this fall, and probably, discover they died in the winter. That's really negative. But anyway, you get the idea. To avoid all of those things, beekeeping does take hard work, and it's not an easy thing. All right, guys, that's coffee time. I hope you enjoyed it. I've enjoyed talking with you. I had fun with you. And I hope you realize that I'm just a plain old guy. I know that you might think I'm somebody special since I've got a YouTube channel, but that's not how it works. But I'm just a everyday guy helping you guys out. And what I know, and I'm working hard to know more, I keep telling you guys what I know and keep trying to encourage you to keep healthier bees, make fewer mistakes. Now, if you want to see another video that I just made where I actually found 2 queens in one hive, and I'm doing a little study to see how long they'll last and coexist together, you got to watch that video. Check it out right here. See you guys over there.